Quick, name a good film based on a video game. And I don't mean an okay video game based movie, I mean a genuinely good film. There really aren't any. The nicest thing you can say about the best of them is that they're usually just okay. Think the likes of Silent Hill, Hitman, Resident Evil, or Prince of Persia. Whether it is critically speaking or just on a level of enjoyability, there are few which will make anyone's list of favorite films. I love Doom. Browse through my YouTube channel or just ask anyone who knows me. I own the original games on multiple platforms as well as the latest in the franchise. I have plushies, Funkos, t-shirts. I even bought 2 copies of the newest board game, one to actually play and the other to just paint the miniatures. I also love movies. My interest in movies is probably the thing that I am the most passionate about. And this got me thinking. Is it possible to make a new Doom movie and make it actually good? And I don't mean in a way that is serviceable only to the fans of Doom. I mean objectively good. In some respects, I find it admirable when a film is made in service to the fanbase dedicated to the source material, but the problem with that notion is that usually with those instances, the film is usually objectively mediocre, if not just bad. I think the latest example of this is Duncan Jones' Warcraft film. Anecdotally speaking, most of my friends who are Warcraft fans loved it. Most other people, well, did not. The second problem with video game-based movies is a complete failure from the director and studio to pay enough respect to the source material. Think everything that Uwe Boll has ever done. Mario Brothers. To a certain degree, the original Mortal Kombat. One of the most brutal, violent, and juvenile video games in history, watered down to a PG-13 Kung Fu B movie. Don't get me wrong, I admire Mortal Kombat for at least the decently executed fight scenes, but where was any of this in the movie? I would argue that this over-the-top violence is a staple of the franchise. To leave it out of the film adaptation is probably not wise. And I think the last problem with many video game-based films is the issue of budget. Blizzard threw a pretty big chunk of money into Warcraft, but a lot of other films aren't so lucky. Examples include Hitman, Agent 47, everything that Uwe Boll has ever done, again, Double Dragon, Dead or Alive. It is certainly possible to make a good movie with a small budget, but those types of movies are usually independent dramas and comedies, driven by a good script and likable, or in some cases unlikable, characters. I think it's fair to say that most video game movies are driven by action, spectacle, or atmosphere, which is usually dependent on a decent budget. Now let's talk about the 2005 Doom film. As I said earlier, I love the Doom games. The Doom movie is bad. It is simply bad. There is no escaping that fact. I don't even mind the movie so much personally, but I fully accept the fact that it was a poorly put together film. The characters are cardboard, even if we get relatively acceptable performances from Karl Urban and Rosamund Pike. The movie drags and drags, just forcing us to wait for the action bits, which are few and far between, and when it finally gets to the main event, the infamous first-person shooter scene, it lasts for no more than 5 minutes. And there are many audience members who found that entire sequence forced and cringeworthy altogether. But I think appreciation for that scene is subjective. And then the final fight at the end between Reaper and Sarge is actually somewhat well executed, if it weren't for the plaguing darkness that envelops 70% of the entire movie. And I don't mean that as a metaphor. It just has consistently bad lighting. I think the reason for that is because Doom was having something of an identity crisis at the time. Doom 3 had just come out, and every Doom fan will tell you that was the most un-Doom-like game of them all. And this film was mainly inspired from that. Really, the only thing I think that is objectively pretty good about the movie is the set design and makeup effects. They decided to rely on practical effects wherever possible, and the genuine custom-built futuristic corridors evoke a good sense of authenticity. The visual effects have somehow aged pretty well in the last decade. That's because of the decent budget for the time. But now for the main question. Is it possible to make a new Doom movie And would anyone even bother with seeing it? Well, to be honest, maybe. But only under very specific, focused circumstances. With a few exceptions, if you make an action movie and you make it good, people will see it, regardless of the marketing. Now, I say that very cautiously. We don't want another Dredd. What we're aiming for is something like Mad Max Fury Road or John Wick. I bring up Fury Road because I think there is a lot of influence there. But first, we need an idea. A good film starts with a good story, but a good story can come from good execution. Sometimes it's possible to tell a story without relying on a script, but merely a good storyboard. Now, I had planned to use a clip from Mad Max Fury Road here, but every time I uploaded anything with video content of Fury Road, the entire thing was taken down by WB within an hour due to a seemingly automated copyright infringement algorithm. So I'll just have to show you the scene with slides. But here it goes. Max is facing a problem. He's stuck. He wants to be unstuck. So he follows the chain attached to the mask. It leads him to the crashed car, where he finds a shotgun and Nooks' wrist, the end of the chain. He tries to remove the cuff. It's too tight. But wait, the shotgun. He holds it point blank to Nooks' arm, which will free him, and the shells turn out to be duds. He immediately decides he has to gnaw his way through Nooks' arm. But then this. Something catches his eye. The only vehicle which he can use to get out of this desert. Quick thinking, he simply drags the chain holding him back, weighed down by an attached car door and carrying Nooks on his shoulders. With his faulty shotgun as leverage, desperation, and a decent poker face, he pushes forward. With this style of storytelling, dialogue isn't needed to give exposition. You don't need narration. You don't need an explanation of why a character is doing something. The characters simply respond to events happening in the moment. And I think this can be the foundation for a new Doom movie. I think one of the biggest problems with the 2005 film was the base story. Gung-ho Marines being Marines in a space station has been done so many times, there isn't much more that can be done with the idea. It reached its peak with Aliens, and there really isn't a reason to keep doing the same thing over and over again, especially if your characters are two-dimensional caricatures. Sarge is the boss, Reaper is the badass, Mac is the quiet one, Duke is the charmer, Destroyer the bulldozer, Goat is the troubled one, and Portman is the pig. Oh, and Kid is... the kid. Man, they really weren't trying that hard at all, were they? So let's talk about the character in the latest incarnation of the Doom video game, the Doom Slayer. He is completely silent. The story is driven by his actions and his attitude, and it works. It's made even more effective by his actions being a conduit of the player. It is very strong as a video game. But I think it can create a strong narrative for a film as well. And this brings me back to Fury Road. Following the character of the Doom Slayer through a lens similar to how we followed Max can be an engaging narrative. Imagine the scene after he wakes up from the sarcophagus. After slaughtering some possessed scientists, he picks up a pistol. He looks it over, perplexed at the technology. After a careful inspection, he removes some pieces, looking over the inside, and reassembles it with great efficiency. A nearby door opens, another zombie looms in. The Slayer quickly fires off several rounds, killing it. The door closes, and he walks toward it. It doesn't open, so he tries to force it. It doesn't budge. But he sees a panel right next to it. The screen shows a hand. He looks at his own hand, does a double take, considering his options, quickly tightens his fist and punches through the panel, ripping out some wires. He tries to force the door again and pries it open. This idea can establish good action and, equally important, characterization of the Doomslayer. He is clearly not from this setting, but is intuitive and skilled with firearms. He is abrasive and intense. His efficiency and intensity can be felt by the audience, and it sets the tone for the film to come. And there are many other beats that can be taken directly from the game that would fit perfectly.
It was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you. We're only temporarily disabling the tower. You need to remove each lens individually. Carefully release the hinges.
With regard to the action, I turn your attention to this scene from John Wick. Now, imagine replacing Keanu Reeves with Doomguy and replace the monsters with imps and zombies, and put the whole thing in a UAC laboratory or an industrial military base or the gory landscape of hell. But the key to intense and gripping gun-based action is the stunt work and choreography. There isn't much else to say. Plan the scenes, hire fantastic stunt people, get a decent production design. This can be done if treated with the level of care and quality that we have come to expect from modern action films. And this is important to the film industry. Clearly, there is a market for video game-based movies. If this wasn't the case, we wouldn't still be getting studios trying to cash out on them on a yearly basis. They make money. Fans want to see them. But they never quite seem to sell critically or commercially like everyone wants them to. How can we change that? To start, you need a solid idea and vision. Don't just throw $100 million at a decent director with a basic script. Analyze the source material. Write a good script and construct good storyboards for it. Give them a decent budget, and give them the resources needed to make a beautiful film. Don't just construct the whole world with CGI like Blizzard was forced to do with Warcraft. Build sets, hire fantastic makeup artists and prop builders, plan the action, get brilliant stunt people, and please, get a good director paired with a great editor. We don't need any more choppy action with unnecessary shaky cam. This can happen. Come on, id Software. Surprise us.